Islam, peace, Hotep, Namaste. My name is Sheikess Auset, Mayat Sekhmet, Aoffa El Bay, and it is once again with great pleasure that I welcome you all into my humble abode for our School of Culture and Refinement series, part 28, entitled The 7 Units. And once again, I want to extend to you the greetings of peace and bliss and love. I also have a Happy New Year, and I hope that you get all what you want to have to work for and proceed in prosperity and through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in order to save self. And also I want to extend my acknowledgement today of our dear prophet's life day today, January the 8th, 1886, as he told us that we were and are, those of us who are claiming our nationality and our birthrights, that we are absolutely Moorish Americans. And we want to thank him along with our ancestors who also strove to tell us these things. But he is the first one, as far as an elder, to teach us, to show us the right way, letting us know who we are as spiritual nationalists, as Moorish Americans. So we want to thank him so much. On this day he was born in North Carolina, January 8th, 1886, and he traveled the whole world. So once again, we're going to extend the extension of peace and love to our prophet on this day. So now let's get on with our teaching. Let's go over our 7 units once again. Our 7 units are: how to sew is number 1. Unit number 2 is how to cook. Unit number 3 is how to clean. Unit number 4 is how to take care of your children. Unit number 5 is how to take care of yourself. And unit number 6 is how to act at home. And unit number 7 is how to act abroad. Now, mind you, when I teach this, I always teach it from a physical, a mental, and a spiritual perspective. So today I want to deal with the straight down the line, the units: 5, how to take care of self; 6, which is how to act at home, and how to act abroad. And we want to talk a little bit about, there's a saying, a lot of people will say, well, this country was founded on Christian principles, but we beg to differ with those who say that it was. We have nothing against Christianity. We were all raised up in different religions along the way. But we want to make a point here today to show that truly this country is based on Islamic principles. Now, first of all, the country was not founded on Christian principles, but Islamic principles, as I said. And by Islamic, we're not talking about religion, for we know that there are 3 monotheistic religions here in the country. That is Christianity, which has been around 500 years. We have Islam, which has been around since the 7th century under a prophet Muhammad from the Ismaili tribe, 17th century and onward, peace be upon him. And then Judaism as well is old religions, but the youngest one is Christianity. So why do we say that the country here, United States, was built on Islamic principles? Because religions are based off of man-made concepts. But the real connotation of Islam deals with saving yourself. And it stands for I am self, law and master. So this places the responsibility upon oneself to find the keys with knowledge of how to open the doors to make themselves self-governance under the rules of our Creator, our law. And that's what's absolutely happening in the country now. Because no one can give oneself justice. It has to come from itself, and also from your physical, mental, and spiritual being. Now we're going to make a point now that the first president, in fact, was an ancestor by the name of mine called John Hanson. And he is actually the first president of the United States under the Articles of Confederation. And the ninth president was George Washington. Now that's where your Masonic comes into mind. He was the ninth Masonic president. And although they teach this in public schools, it's inaccurate because they're making you think he was actually the first president, but he wasn't. He came under the ninth. After that, he was the ninth president. There were actually 8 Moorish presidents, some of them were, who came before him. As we stated, John Hanson would be the first president. And he reigned from 1781 to 1782 under the Articles of Confederation. He was a landowner as well as many of us Moors were. And he paid the troops after the Revolutionary War because they had exhausted all their funds that the British had sent them. They refused to pay them after they lost the war. So John Hanson was asked to step up to the plate. And so he had to teach the Europeans how to set up government. So that took some time. So from 1781 to 1782, we had John Hanson. And then the other Moorish president we had after that, each one was a years for each one. Number 2 was Elias Boudinot. Number 3 was Thomas Mifflin. Richard Henry Lee was the 4th one. John Hancock was 5th. Nathan Gorman was number 6. Arthur St. Clair was number 7. And then number 8 was Cyrus Griffin. And then it changed over because we as Moors had to teach them how to set up government once the land was actually given over to the European. They were only supposed to reign for a certain amount of time. And that's the time that we're in now. Because their rule is up, and that's signified with President Trump's reign as president or as a birther, because he has to clean up everything and get everything together without the debt and the money that is owed. So that's the story with that. There are actually 8. So a lot of these things have to be rewritten in history because a lot of people are being retaught the wrong things, and this can help a lot of people research who they were. So once again, there were 8 Moorish presidents from 1781 to 1789, a year they each served. And after that time, in 1789, they had George Washington took over. So, and also when they signed over these treaties, there were 46 Freemasons available at the signing. You had 36 Moors, who were composed of Malayan and Washita Moors. You have 20 English males or Albions, which were, we call them Tamahus or Caucasians. 10 Muslims signed this declaration, which was based off of ancient Iroquois law, the Great Law of Peace, through these Articles of Confederation. So with that, we want to now go into, and also I want to say this will help people really research their birthrights, because those are people say they can't research it and all that, but once you know what actually happened before 1492, you can't actually trace who you really are. Now we want to go into a lecture series on the series of the woman and what this signifies and significance of the real Islam. Once again, as we said, Islam is I am self, law, and master. And the original Islam is actually rooted with the mystery of the so-called woman, the real woman. And this actually took place before the 7th century. And a lot of this has been taken out of the books, the Quran. This part was not made known. But the original Islam is just that. I am self, law, and master. And my own destiny. It does not entail religion. It's a way of life, 24/7. So the Holy Kaaba is where many people go to. It's located in Saudi Arabia. But the Holy Kaaba was originally established way before the time of Prophet Muhammad, before the 7th century. It was established for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And of course, bear with me because I'm looking up some of this as I speak. And the original one actually consists of the matriarchal clans matriarchal clans, which is based off of the woman. And these clans were 4 matriarchal clans. They were the Fulani clans in these areas based in the original Sudan. You had the Mande tribe, the Hausa, the Sibu tribes, and the Mandes tribes. And these are groups of women. And these women were actually worshipped around 4000 BC near Medina. The Sibu tribe is also a part of this. And the Kaaba stone, for people who are not familiar with it, it was actually a black dove nestled atop 2 black doves. They called them Umfas. They were like black crystallized doves, which were nestled atop of the holy Kaaba, which is like the black stone, like a big crystal. Because we know the color black itself absorbs all colors. So this is how they honored the woman, the so-called woman. And don't forget that during this time, the earth was one landmass. So a lot of the ancestors are going back and forth from not over in that area, but also over here. And this is like a vacated area that many of the Moors came to, but they settled here. Like my ancestors came here from various areas over there, as I discussed, and they settled here. So a lot of us were already over here in the Americas. It's all one landmass at that time. So once again, getting back to the Holy Kaaba, as we stated, these were 2 black doves, and many thought that these black doves came from the heavens. They were sort of like in the movie The Oracle, that type of thing. They thought these were black doves. And these black doves symbolized the mermaids as well, because when we, in the beginning, we as women, we actually lived in and outside of the waters. This is tying into the Mami Wata concept. The Mami Wata concept, based in Africa or Al-Kabulan. And also, there were 2 major deities as well. All major Mami deities were at first worshipped as the black stones. And this is what Muhammad found when he went into the caves and saw that the woman was being honored because they were being worshipped in their spirituality. So, and this tradition can also be found still today, where the original woman is honored throughout all of West Africa in places such as Togo and also Ghana, where many of the descendants of these groups actually settled. Also, these groups were tied into our nation of Moors by being the original Canaanites and the Moors at that time. So these were the darker peoples before the white Arabs, but they also idolized the Momi Wata, or the mermaid, or the moon goddess. Another name that they gave her, which was and is in the Quran, is called Aliyat. Some of this information has been removed from the Qurans of today because, as I said, it lies within the woman, the spiritual woman at that time, that were worshipped. And the temple was called, before it was called the Holy Kaaba, it was called the Temple of the Moon Goddess. And, as I stated before, it was built by the African, or Al-Kabulan is the real name, Hausa, Fulani, the Mandes, and other clans who settled into ancient Medina around 4000 BC. And most of these deities, as stated, were worshipped as black stones. It's an ancient tradition which is still practiced amongst a lot of the ancestors of today all over the world, in the Caribbean as well. And only holy men were allowed to enter the sacred forest to see or view the sacred stone, or actually worship at his feet at that time. And this is when Muhammad, as the Quran says, he went into the cave and he saw, this is a part in the Quran where they say he saw idols, but really that's not what it was, because they really rewrote. That's not the original book. Just like the Bible was not the original book. We're not going to get into that right now. We'll talk about that at a later date. But when they came, they were bowing down and worshiping the real spiritual woman. And a lot of these customs that they did are still around today amongst the Islamic tribes or whatever today. The shaving of the heads, the fast of Ramadans, the annual pilgrimages that they do. They were doing this then, but they was honoring the woman. But now, Islam itself is more of a religion, and it's not the original concept, which comes from natural divination to the creator of the woman. So this is what they talk about, the mysticism of the woman. But many holy people of God do not talk about this now because it's like a secret, but it's time for it to be discussed and made known. So it's all about spiritual woman. Spiritual woman, which is the time we're in now. Also, another important thing, this knowledge, as I said before, is really still being suppressed all over the country and all over the world, really. But that's important because this is a year of the woman, and hereafter, the real woman to arise and to get into her true spiritual nationality. And that's what this is about. Take back her birthrights, her heritage, because the woman is, as I stated before, the first teacher. In the first 7 years, we actually teach our children. And then they keep this with them for the rest of their lives, because after that 7-year time, they're able to retain it. And then after that, they should be taught by the male elders, the ones that are in a proper mindset to do this. So that's what the men have to get into as well. They have to start respecting women that are on this journey now. We're going to see maybe a few more of that being shown this day and time. More women are going to come into their own spiritual journeys that they have to really be cognizant of. And there's a lot of women of all ages that I know right now that are talking to me about this, and they're going through some transformation. So I just want to teach on that today, because it can be done, and it's because that's how I live my life every day. And sometimes the Most High just puts you into a situation where you know you have to really work on yourself. Not just women, but men as well should be contemplating these things, how they try to save themselves. But we as women must do that, then the whole world will follow as righteous spiritual women. So that's what time it is now. So I felt I would share that with my viewers. And that was tying itself into Unit 6, how to act at home and abroad. From not just visiting other countries, but actually acting a certain way. You have to raise your kundalini into this mind concept and get in tune with yourself and your creator and your ancestors and your birthrights. Because that's what Nubadra really came to show us and demonstrate for us to stand on our square, especially in this serious day and time. So we're going to close with that. I felt that I would share that with you. I hope you learned something from it. Any questions? Once again, you can always feel free to speak with me at moorishgoddess104@gmail.com. And you're always free to sign up for our classes, which we do every day. And now's the time to find out who you really are as a spiritual being, if that's what you so desire, because the universe is now demanding it of us. Because the children absolutely have to be taught the proper way so they can grow up and take the reins and take their true spiritual place in the society as well, and leave a legacy in their heritage for each bloodline and unite the communities in this day and time. Many want to blame Trump about this, but he's only doing what he's been commissioned to do, and that is to get the country together as far as the economics of it, as well as showing righteousness as well. Because that's what it's all about. We're not here to blame anyone, because at the middle of the day, it lies within self. No one can save self, as Noble Drawley eloquently told us. So this is an everyday journey. Live it 24/7, and you must actually love it. You can't hate it, You must really fall in love with who you are, spiritually, mentally, and physically. So I want to end out. Hope you learned something again. Please keep listening and subscribe. We're going to come with more videos, more and more. And what we have been doing, just been so busy. And always staying on point with the Most High. So may you have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed evening. Much success in 2019. And keep on striving to be the very best you can. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam. And remember, Islam is not a religion. It's I am self, law, and master. Through the Most High, the Creator, who sustains us all. For we are responsible for our own destiny. So I want to once again wish you a wonderful night. Peace, love, and bliss to you. Islam.